Welcome to Actually Controller, the podcast that is actually Controller, and we are actually in control of everything you are hearing right now. I'm so very sorry.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. Hi. Welcome back to Absolutely Actually Controller.
That's my bad. Okay.
How's everyone doing today?
Oh,
you got Steve.
You got Chad.
Chris.
It's a Jeffrey.
Yep, we are back today.
Hi. I hope you guys are doing well. Today we are going to be discussing.
I was getting stared at so awkwardly.
Because I heard.
Yeah, there's some awkward noises.
Oh, I got
upstairs.
both of the ears are in right
I don't
now.
have ears in right today. I forgot.
Oh, word.
Yeah, all of a sudden I got both ears in. I'm like, why is he looking at
Yeah,
me?
like a gore scream, like they're watching a gore movie or something.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're watching horror movies.
Welcome back to actually. Controller.
So today's topic is how you deal with a creativity block. What is your process, and what do you do to pull you out of that funk and make you creative again? What do you do?
Yep.
And Chad was in the middle of telling us, and then
he's like, you'll find out soon enough.
So I hope he doesn't steal my ideas. So like, go ahead, Chad. Steal my idea. Jeff. No, it's fine.
I want to hear your idea.
No, we said it was you first.
Especially of his baby song.
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault. No, this question actually came up because we're in a creative block of trying to figure out what we were going to talk about.
I was like,
so,
hey,
good job, Chris.
Well, how long were we? Like 5-10 minutes?
It wasn't that
maybe
long.
more than that.
Tell everybody, jeez, we work like clockwork.
We're such efficient, professional musicians.
Legitimately.
So this is episode 30. What?
Oh no, this is episode 44.
So out of 44, I think we've been prepared for 6 of them.
Yeah, probably.
Again, don't tell everyone.
No, that's
behind the curtain.
No, this is where, hey, we need some topic ideas.
We are a jam band.
We are conversationalists.
We're jam conversationalists.
We're jamcasters.
Jamcasters.
That's right.
We're not podcasters. We're jamcasters.
I'm retagging all of the episodes to
Jamcasters.
Welcome to our Jamcast.
Yeah.
I think there's a union phrase.
We may have.
Sit down and shoot the shit.
My God.
I'm so sorry.
So, Chad.
Oh, dear God.
Guess what, buds?
Yep, you're the guy.
You're on the hot
You're up
seat.
first.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
All right. So
Raleigh. Set. Serve.
So, recently with one of our upcoming one of our upcoming EPs, I was in charge of writing this track because all the tracks in this EP have all came from my writing.
His loins.
Yeah, they were all my babies. Yeah. So this last one for everybody that's familiar with us is familiar with Thoughts, Ideas, Visions, and Visions Part 2. So I always wanted to complete the whole feel of everything and have a Visions 3.
Like a circle.
Like a circle. But for years I had struggled writing Visions 3. And
well, in fairness, Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions turned into multiple. Yeah, you go ahead and throw that sign, bud. He's about to throw.
Is it the Illuminati thing?
It's the heart.
What is he doing?
Word up.
I know what he's trying to do.
Okay.
Anyway, Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions. You were...
Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions was actually one track that I had the idea when we were in the studio. I wanted it broken up into 3 tracks on the album. And
Talk
it was
about jam banding it.
Yeah, it was all one riff that went through it, but it was just every band member at the time had a spoken word part on what they felt Contrøller was.
Yeah,
that was our thoughts, ideas, and our visions. Mm-hmm. And from that, I end up writing Visions 2 for our second full-length album. And I loved the direction that everything was going for that. And I wanted to be able to finish it up because I just felt like, even though it was already a 2-song thing that it was like, it's not finished. It just isn't finished. So for years I've pondered over and have been creatively blocked multiple times. A lot of times something like that, it takes the element of time and growth with the band to be able to go, okay, this is where we can go now that we would have never have achieved back then.
Right.
But it also took a lot of just like hammering into it. And I don't know how many iterations of the song that I've...
Too many.
I'm like, hey, it's like, I like this riff. I think I could work this riff into Visions 3 and then end up like 2 months later scrapping it.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
not telling everybody he scrapped it.
Yeah. No, I just
there
bring
were plenty of times where me and Steven are going, okay, so I guess we're rewriting that whole
Yeah, it's like,
segment.
hey, were we working on that one? Yeah, I decided I didn't like that.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I wrote this other part instead. And I think the final version that got recorded recently was actually just written mostly on the spot here.
Yeah.
During rehearsal.
We'll let him finish, but
It was the pressure is what it was.
There was a lot of pressure at the time because we knew that we
kept
wanted
putting
it being completed.
If I recall, this is the song we kept. Oh, let's do this one, and then you're like, I'm not really ready for it.
Yeah.
We pushed
Yeah.
it to the next rehearsal, and we're like, okay, we're ready, Chad. I'm like, I'm not ready.
right.
Yeah.
And it like kept moving down our calendar every Sunday.
Yeah.
It kept moving.
I don't believe we wrote anything specifically to keep it off the docket or anything like that. It just he wasn't in the place.
here's
to
a-
be
We
able to-
finally went out of Sundays and said, hey, Chad, everything else is written, buddy.
Here's a bad musicianship part of me. I don't like to practice at home alone.
Yeah.
And I don't do it often. But with this song, I actually did a lot of like messing around with my acoustic at home. But then when you're trying to translate acoustic to electric,
It's
it just
different.
brings a different feel. And it just, everything that I really liked, I did on my acoustic. And I was like, but I don't want to just transfer this to an acoustic song.
So what was the breakthrough on it then? Like,
Yeah.
The breakthrough was just
we're pushing the song back weeks by weeks by weeks. And
Yeah, what was the
I don't-
breaker?
I think the breaker really was I don't know. I started playing something here and the way that everybody caught right onto it, and it's like, okay, this is the feel. And I had spent those weeks leading up to that listening to 1 and 2 back to back to try to see where the feel for 3 was going to go. But it was finally being here and I just started playing something that just like triggered in me. I'm like, this is what I'm playing. And once everybody started going, I like this, I like what you're doing, I was like, well, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, because that day, everybody else had taken off. I asked you for my peace of mind if you could stay later so we could go over it. And then you had what had been happening. And I think that I can speak from the outside what it came across as is just uncertainty on your behalf on a lot of the words.
Oh, yeah.
Like full trepidation of uncertainty of just, is it good enough type thing. And I could almost tell when I got you to stick around
Well, when you're
that
putting
you were
this-
starting to have that feeling
mean,
land
there's
on that riff again. And I'm like, no.
He already-
You already got all of us to say we like it.
When you're putting this much time into it, and you know how you want it to sound.
Yes.
And
But don't at the same time.
right.
Yeah,
It's
and
like,
there's
man,
this
I'm really
air
afraid.
of pressure of like, let's not
And then-
just
Well,
there
throw
was, 'cause
whatever
I kept
out
pointing
there.
to the counter, go, Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then then getting hit with the, well, you do know this is like almost a 6-minute song now, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's the way it has to be.
I mean, that's fair.
well, and to be fair, Visions 2 is actually 5 minutes.
Yeah, he
and
ended up
30
looking it up. He
seconds
goes,
long.
it's already
Yeah.
almost the same length. It's a little bit longer, but not by much.
Yeah.
By the way,
It's like I've written epics for
Yeah.
Visions like ever since the
that was
beginning.
the whole point, was for it to be this. It encases the entire idea, and I understood that it was a hard place. Like, so for us on the back end, like,
I guess
Steve's
this
over
episode
here.
kind of turned into the Visions EP.
No, that's just on Chad.
We're helping Chad work
Yeah.
through his
So on my end though, I'm like sitting here and I'm watching and I'm like trying to make sure that my part, whatever I'm writing, is compatible not only with the idea but like keeping in mind those other parts we already threw out there, you know, and not trying to drop the ball either.
Which
you know?
Visions 3, like when we came up with the idea for the outro, because we're in a 3/4, like all the way through the song, and then we drop into this 4/4
in a different BPM.
It's like a completely different song on the tail end of this song.
It's fine if you don't believe us, buy our Patreon and you can listen to everything.
Then it loops.
So Chad's way of breaking creativity is just keep pressure on himself.
Keep hammering on it. It's like, well, a lot of times
either that or you pop a hemorrhage.
I've always been into
yes, Chad, do that. Yes, I was like, well, I don't know. Yes, Chad. Well, Chad, do that.
I will admit, a lot of times once the drums start kicking in and I can get a full realization with the drums, is where things really start to help.
Yeah.
So I will say,
I just boosted his ego.
Yeah,
a little bit of insight into.
I will take that. I feel like that was the catalyst for pushing that song forward.
It's true, man.
Because once you had the riff going, you're like, "Where's this going? Where's this going?" I started throwing in a little bit of accents. I wasn't really doing anything heavy.
No.
I was literally just lifting everything you were doing.
A lot of times it could be just the simple beat to it, and it's like, okay, I've got a better motion
I sit back
for
on
this.
almost that entire song. So
I will say, I think what really pushed it over the edge, though, and correct me if I'm wrong, what I think really pushed it over the edge of we're finally on this being done, if you will, like almost done, was when you and me with the original chorus that we had looked at it, and I was like, dude, it feels like it's still missing a riff. I don't know what the riff is. I don't know exactly how it needs to get put in, but there's a riff still missing. It needs to still evolve somewhere else.
Yeah, I do like the idea of taking the original
chorus and making a pre and post chorus out of it.
The original riff was actually able to be taken and like chopped up in a way and rewritten in a way to where it's in the bass part, it's definitely there, but it sounds 100% different.
Yes. But yeah, and just a quick little plug. I don't know the timing exactly comparison to when this episode drops to when the video will drop, but the Track Stories video for Visions Part 2 is going to be coming out right around the same time. So if it's out already, go back and check that video out. If it's not yet,
you can hear
it'll be out really soon.
What we're talking about and in further detail.
Because Visions 2 was way off the feel of Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Visions 3 is its own entity, but also ties back to the first Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions.
Yep.
And
kind of like I said in the Track Story, I'll give one line that I talked about in there. I said, we didn't know that it was going to be a 3-parter when we were working on Part 1, but as soon as we worked on Part 2, we knew it was going to be a 3-parter.
Yeah, as soon as Part 2 was, and as soon as I wrote the second one, I was like, even before it was titled, I was like, this is Visions Part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. And originally, like, because Thoughts, Ideas, and Visions opened mid-track and closed the first CD,
yes,
the original edition of Ascending Degrees started with Visions 2.
Which in principle made sense. In actual application, was detrimental to the CD.
Yeah, it was definitely not an opening track for the album.
No.
As far as like, it was not a good opener. Good song, and I think it's somewhere mid-album on the extended edition.
We spent a lot of time on that.
I have to say, with the amount of work that went into it, though, it's kind of neat to see because the first one was off the cuff, Yes. We were like, we're going to do this.
Oh, that was done 100% in studio.
Yeah,
well, you had the riff.
I had the riff.
Yep, and everybody else kind of fell in line, and it worked really interestingly.
I actually had that bass riff. I wrote that as when I was a teenager.
Yeah, and then with the second part, there was a lot more thought that went in. It was more of a dynamic mixing of us all throwing in ideas, working the ideas all together. This time around, we've been, 10 years plus now.
Yeah.
And so the object of running it the exact same way, even though our writing style has changed over all these years and how we approach
and
songs.
not just because of members.
Not just because of members, but because we have all grown as musicians, so it's like this want to add the things that we feel are important to like throw in there and to show that like we're growing as we do this, So I understood the trepidation of like, is this good enough,
Yeah. So
good stuff. So there, we talked about that. Thank you for letting us know how you.
I was also blocked when I wrote Clarity too, because you guys had written everything on a day that I wasn't at rehearsal.
Right.
And it's I show up and they're like, you have to write a part for this, and I'm like,
yeah.
What the heck am I going to put in all this?
You're welcome. That's all I got.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jeffrey, we were curious. At the top, Chad was waiting patiently to hear your.
I will put in one last thing. I am happy to finally put a bow of finished on the Visions.
Indeed.
I guess so. Anthology.
So let's go ahead and also throw a stamp of pressure him into a corner until the timeline is done. That's how you break Chad out of its writing block.
Right. Hey, I got better. I've been better at some things, but that one was a true years gap block.
So for me, I have this kind of an opposite problem. My creativity is just I don't know how to shut the faucet off, and it's just kind of pouring, and so it's hard to focus. A lot of the times, I will start something
and possibly overwrite,
and even overwrite. Man, really, right now,
I'm just
so
saying.
tired. So y'all know I've been up almost 24 hours at this point because I just decided to continue working on this thing that I've been working on, maybe overridden it. I called to get a second opinion because I'm I'm being extra. Tell me I'm being extra and I'll get rid of the extra, but I want to show somebody the extra because I took time to make the extra.
Now, in your defense and in mine, when you called, not all of the things you went extra on were things that needed to be removed. Some of the things you put extra in needed to be removed.
I took a very broody intro and turned it very dance poppy, and I was really digging it because
we went full Euro pop by the end of it.
I was slap happy.
How I can turn Clarity into jazz just by swinging the
exactly.
Yes, exactly like that. And we're up, and we're up, and we're up.
And man, I heard it, and I was like, "That's so cool, though." But it sounds like the Powerpuff Girls have just joined Contrøller, so I couldn't do that. Anyway, what I do generally though is if I'm having an actual block, I will generally go and try to get away from whatever I'm working on and learn something new. Because learning musically something new, it might be the thing that helps me get over that hump. So I'll go looking for how to play a particular chord progression I've never messed with, or some mode that I've never messed with. I'll look for different kind of melody structures that I've never really thought of, and I'll see if I can apply that. And usually by applying those things, I'm able to find something that connects or something that totally doesn't connect, and I totally love that because my whole life is chaos, and I like bringing that to the table because it feels good.
I am chaos.
I'm just a kid of one. Anyway, but that's how I handle. Yeah, just a kid of one. So that's how I handle, trying to stem down and be okay, focus. I know you want to write 12 other songs now because that one note reminded you of that thing, and you hit a snare, and now that makes you want to play this whole other jazz thing. And
this has been known to happen.
Yeah, technically,
so Jeff's got the ADHD of the band. Is that what we're hearing?
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much of a creative block as just overstimulated creativeness.
It's not. It really
is.
I will say this though.
Attention on things, I just have to work at.
I have watched you go into a block though, and when you have gone into a block, it has always been because you have personal things going on in your life that you cannot. And not even necessarily chaos, just that are not in your control to alter at the pacing they're going at. Mm-hmm. And if that's going on, and when I'm saying that, I'm saying real personal things.
Oh yeah.
When it's real personal things, not I can't do anything about not getting money in my account for another week. I'm talking family level type personal things.
Right.
When certain components of that magnitude have popped up for you, you go into full-blown isolationism.
Well, yeah, man.
And
it's weird to admit that failure breeds into me this near agoraphobic kind of sense. I cannot deal with emotional failure or feeling I don't have though I'm chaos, I have to be the chooser of my direction, and if my direction is being chosen for me, that messes with everything. So I don't like to admit failure or defeat because, never give up, never surrender.
Right.
And there's a side of it that when those things happen, I'm like, no gods, no masters. I'm not going to be held down by things that I have no control of.
Right. But when I say that I've witnessed this, the times that I witness it are quintessentially some of the worst times have been like when we're in the middle of recording an album.
And I really hate when it happens like that. Yeah.
Where,
it's like an asteroid hits and destroys half of your mental town.
And then it's me being the friend who's wanting to, be there for you.
Town?
Yeah, my mental town.
But it's me being the friend who wants to be there for you at the same time being the active business band member where I'm like, hey, bud, we literally have a finite amount of time.
We have work to do.
That other people's dollars are attached to.
Put on your business.
We got to get this done.
I would like to say, even though sometimes I drag my feet, I'm gonna say it. It happened.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm a huge procrastinator.
But but I am kind of constantly writing, and I think it's actually a good thing that you're like, hey, this is a deadline. Hey, don't forget this, because I will get sidetracked with, I just found this pretty melody, and I want to write this whole brand new song now that has nothing to do. Like, my problem is that when I get stuck in a block of writing, where I don't see an easy way to add something, I have to go searching for what that something is. The problem being, I sometimes will come across riffs that I fall in love with, like musical modes that are like amazing and have nothing to do with what I'm working on.
Right.
And so then it's like, okay, I love this thing, and this other thing's giving me trouble.
And there has been times that's bared fruit where it's like, hey, the thing I was fighting with didn't end up being the thing anyway, because I stumbled into this thing, and that ended up being the magic sauce.
Exactly.
Here's the new track.
So I always try to make sure. Yeah. I always try to make sure that I give at least a little credence to, serendipity when she's nice to me and is like, hey, but check this out. Right. So that way, maybe it's just get it out of your system so you can think straight, get that out of the way, so that way you can get back into this next thing. I think that hyper focusing on a problem that's ahead of you doesn't generally send you need to change perspective to get a better look at what you're doing. And if you stick with it, you become almost deaf and cacophony to possibilities. So I really think that the best thing to do is generally to get away from it for a second, do something else in lieu of it, even if it's an idea.
That's how I ended up with so many different versions.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I'm just going to keep throwing things at the wall. Which one's finally going to stick?
But yeah, I just kind of throw it in the air and hope that I can shoot straight. And then, they say that I can, so I'm like, okay, I'll believe you.
Yeah. We've been telling you that for over a decade. I'd hope to God by now you do.
So I'm going to throw it to Christopher, actually, because of all of the members in the band that have...
I play drums.
That have an incredible amount of stuff on their plate on a daily. Like, we're talking in not just our band and the creation here, but also keeping up with the schedule with other bands and whatnot. I can't imagine where the blocks pop up at times for you.
Dude, seriously, how do you deal with blockage with just the amount of the catalog that you have to have in your head?
What I do right now is, I'm a session drummer. I'm definitely not a jam drummer. For me, especially going into this last writing session, I was just like, just let it loose, let loose. And if I ever get stuck, it's going to sound weird, but I turn to NF and I'll listen to his stuff. And
nice, dude.
The thing about his music is I relate to a lot of the lyrics that he puts in, but he's very... he's not very heavy in percussion, so he's not very heavy with drums. He's not very heavy, aside from the beat or whatever. So I'll throw in some rock drums and just veg out for.
So it gives you the room to be able to be somewhere in a pocket that isn't already eaten up.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. Writing for me, as a drummer, I don't hit too many creative blocks. I tend to just build. It's like a Lego set. When I'm given a track, Visions or whatever. I'll hear something right away. I'll be like, all right, cool. Let me put this down. And I just build from it. What do I want to lift? What do I hear? What do you want to hear? and then I just keep going. Like you've seen the creative Steve specifically calls it out when we're in the middle of something. I've already got a part written and it's like, oh
yeah.
It's like, no, don't ooh him. Don't you do it.
So I do
love
get that,
those
I do
moments,
get that
man.
zigzag pattern to where I can put it like a bare bones drum beat to anything you want to throw at me, but like trying to actually build and move the music with the drums is where
Sauce it up.
there you go.
And that's a lot of times I have that ability to be able to do that when they're bringing me material to write to. It's like, but when I was actually out there writing the main material, it's like,
I mean, I can do it.
There's a wall.
As a lyricist, it's been a while since I've had to focus on lyrics. Obviously not yet with this project, but I have worked on a few songs with the other project that I'm in. It's really just, give me the melody you want me to work with, and I'm really good at counting consonants and syllables, finding words. Like,
yeah.
I try not to get boxed into, like if I'm writing if it's a storyline or something, you try not to get boxed in with repeating phrases or like,
yeah.
I don't know. I'm not afraid to use the thesaurus.
You go through the syncopation and like you listen to where like
I'll write out what I want the line to say, and I'll be like, all right, so this is not the right like cadence for how it's supposed to go. So
Counting
how
syllables.
can I meld these words to actually fit what I want it to say?
Right.
Okay, so that's not the vibe.
Right.
The thesaurus says this word's the vibe for it, though.
But usually, like when it comes to lyrics, I'm feast or famine, man. I can sit here and just spew stanza after stanza after stanza, or I could go like a couple months with like blanks.
Yeah,
like,
blanks.
I don't have anything. But I don't really have an outlet for that right now, so I don't really dip into that too much.
Thank you for listening to Actually Controller. If you liked what you heard, please consider following us on all our socials. You can easily find us on all the different platforms by going to linktree/controller33 or scan the QR code if you are watching the video version of this episode. Thank you.